Hello, Pete.
I have a super fun trip planned today that I'm going to take you guys with me for. But before I head out, I do have a few chores to do. I've got to get these boys in from the pasture.
Hey, Whip.
They are still working out a few of the kinks. It looks like Stewie is trying to take up the number 2 spot and push Goose out, but that hasn't happened quite yet. Ziggy, Gus, and Studman seem to be getting along really good, and Scarlet has been enjoying her time out in the round pen overnight. The addition of these low sugar round bales has been super nice. It has really cut down my chore time in the morning. I do need to entice these boys to come in, otherwise it is a huge headache, so I am going to give them half of their ration balancer. I do think they've caught on because they are pretty slow to come in this morning. The pasture is looking really sparse, but there is one little area along the fence line that the neighbor's irrigation does get to, so there's some really tasty grass out there still. We've been battling the smoke and there's really nothing I can do about it. We just have to wait until it either blows out or hopefully there's some rain coming the next couple of days. The horse sale that I'm going to doesn't start until a little bit later in the day, so I have some time this morning to check these boys over and do a few extra chores. These boys have managed to keep themselves out of trouble. Nobody has any big scrapes or lumps or bumps. Pete and little Gus have just been going with the flow. These boys usually don't cause too much trouble.
Come on, Stewie.
Stewie, on the other hand, has been pestering Goose and Whiplash. I think he's just trying to shake up the new herd. I've noticed that Pete has really been enjoying the round bale. He is out here more than any of the other horses. He also has made a few modifications to the net that I put over it. I've got a new one coming in the mail, and hopefully he won't chew any holes in that one.
Zig.
These 3 boys have been getting along really nicely. They don't seem to be getting into any fights. They just kind of hang out together.
Hey, Zig.
Ziggy has still been getting some extra supplemental feed. He gets it when I bring him in to ride. Studman and Gus do not need any extra calories. Studman is due for some new shoes, but he is going to be a size smaller, and I just have to wait for them to come in before he gets a new set.
Gus. Buddy. Hey, boy.
Gus seems to be acting like his normal self. He doesn't really care about me too much. He is just ready to go out for the day. Something really interesting about the sale I'm going to is there is a horse by the same sire that Studman is supposed to be by. After I bought Studman from the auction, I did track down his previous owners. He was a stud at the time, and I did not want to geld him if there was a chance I maybe would get his paper someday. When I got in touch with Studman's original owner, they told me that he was an accidental baby. Someone had mixed up a few mares that they were supposed to breed, and Studman was the resulting foal, so he was never able to be registered. I do hear a lot of tall tales from previous owners, and this one does seem a little bit hard to believe, but Studman does look a lot like his supposed sire. He has the same head and neck, the super sweet puppy dog eyes, and the cute little ears.
Honey.
So I'll be really interested to see if he looks anything like the horse that's for sale today. While I'm not going to be buying anything at this sale, I am going to be checking out a few horses for a trainer friend of mine. They are in Oklahoma and they don't have time to fly up to look at horses, so I'm just going to check a few over and let them know what I think. They are interested in the one that is supposed to be related to Studman, so I'm going to be looking at that one
Come
anyway.
on, I know. Let's go. Come on.
I have a feeling that the horse is going to sell for higher than they're willing to spend, so I'm going to pick them out a few alternatives that they may not have looked at. I think Tiny can tell something's up because I'm going a little bit out of order today. With 3 horses in this dry lot, it is getting a little bit too dirty for me, so instead of dragging it, I'm going to be just picking up most of the poop today. I have weaned these boys off of their alfalfa, which they're not very excited about. Scarlett has really been coming along in the last week or so. I've been carving out time every single day to do a few things with her just to get her used to being handled again. Nigel is his normal sassy self. He has refused to come inside under the fan, so I did put out some new little sunshades for him, which it looks like the gophers are using today. He has started growing his winter hair, which is odd, so the vet is coming out next week and we're going to pull some bloods and run some metabolic testing on him. He does get an old man checkup and blood tests done every year just to keep him in tip-top shape, but I think this year we might have some issues to deal with. Scarlett has gone through a huge growth spurt recently. She is definitely growing taller and she seems to be losing a little bit of her muscle mass. I think she's just really growing quickly. I've also noticed that her mind seems to be maturing as well. I just started leaving her halter off. Our routine for every day is I'll come in, put her halter on, pick out her feet. I put some dressing on it just to keep all the funk away. Her feet have been super hard and I do need to trim them, but I'm going to try and soften them up a little bit before that because it has become quite a task. She can still be a little bit kicky with her back legs and I don't have enough time to devote to going through some training with those this morning, so we're going to skip them for now. Most of the time, our morning routine, I just do it at Liberty and she has learned how to ground tie very well. I did notice as I was going over her that she does have some really small hives. This side looks pretty good, but on the other side she does have some welts. I have a sneaking suspicion that it is from the shavings that are in the stall she's been staying in during the day. It's supposed to be pretty hot out today and I would like her to stand in the shade, but if the shavings are causing her to have this reaction, I'm not going to put her in a stall today. I really don't want to have these get out of control, so I put in a quick text to my vet and we are going to go ahead and treat her with a dose of steroids for today. Because she is going to be staying outside, I am going to put up a little bit of a sunshade for her so she doesn't roast out in the sun. As she continues to grow, the few lumps and bumps that she got when she was out on the range as a baby are kind of showing up a lot easier. I've really been putting off making a new set of long lines and I think I'm going to have to do it pretty soon because they're looking pretty sad these days. While I clean up everyone's pens this morning, Scarlett is just going to stay out here in the smaller arena and have a bit of breakfast. The steroid that she's getting is just going in her feed, so hopefully she'll eat this and in an hour or two she will feel a lot better. Frisco also had a similar reaction when I switched over some shavings, so I'm 99% sure that is what is going on with both of them. Because it is going to be so hot today, I am making a little bit of a wet patch for Scarlett this morning. I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I did get everything done this morning that I had planned on, so I'm going to open this gate and let these boys back in their dry lot. For some reason, Gus has been preferring to eat off the round bale instead of grazing. I think he just likes the hay better. The really crispy grass out here is not very enticing. I'll really be interested to see how much Studman's maybe brother goes for at the sale today. Studman was mostly unhandled when I bought him and he did have some issues with his feet. But for only $300, I think he was a steal of a deal. I am just going to finish up a few little chores before I head out. Nigel needs to get his breakfast, and I need to put Scarlett back in her round pen for the day. Even though I'm running a little bit behind schedule, I do have to hang up that sunshade for her as well. It has only been about an hour, but it looks like the welts on her neck and the one side of her body are starting to go down. Since she seems to be doing fine otherwise, I feel pretty comfortable leaving her by herself today. Hopefully when I get back this evening, her hives will be completely gone. They are by no means horrible, but these things can take off if you don't treat them right away. I did give her a really thorough brushing, so any particles she may have had left on her are gone now. I got a sunshade up and placed it so she'll have the maximum amount of shade when the sun comes across the top of the sky. I only have to drive a few hours to make it to this sale. This sale is actually multiple days. People could come the day before and test ride the horses if you have a bidder's number. This is a very high-end kind of bougie sale, so in order to ride the horses, you do have to have a bidder's number and you do have to have proof of funds. They do a few little competition classes with all of the horses, and today it looks like they are doing some arena work and they get to show off the horses on cattle this morning. This horse was super cute. He reminded me a lot of Little Gus. They were about the same size and they kind of have the same way of going around. A lot of these horses are very broke. This little guy does a super cute lead change. I think this is the 8th year they're having this sale, and these horses that they're selling are all pre-vetted, so they've sent in some x-rays and passed a lameness exam. It makes it a lot easier for people who are shopping for well-broke, really well-bred horses. Instead of paying for 60 pre-purchase exams, you can come to this sale and see rads on every single horse if you choose. The people that put on this sale have a gorgeous facility. Compared to where I buy a lot of my fixer-upper ponies, this is a completely different vibe. The last couple of years at this sale, they've had a few horses sell for over $100,000. My horse trainer friend that I'm scoping out a few for said their client has a budget of $60,000. This is the horse that I'm here to check out that is maybe related to Studman. I know they have their heart set on that horse, but I am going to pick out a few other ones so they have some backups just in case that one sells really high. These horses come from all over the country, so after a few days of being shown to a bunch of different riders, they are pretty tuckered out. It looks like a lot of these horses are not in their stall, so they're either being shown in the arena, or I would imagine a lot of them are getting a final bath just before the sale starts. This guy tipped over his little feed tub. I thought it might be the one that I was looking for, but this is a completely different Palomino. I was worried this guy tipped over his water, but he does have another giant bucket in there that you can't see. It is pretty nice to go to a horse sale where you know all of the horses are really well taken care of. It does take a lot of the stress out of it because sometimes when I go to a sale, I see horses that are severely neglected or in really horrible shape. I didn't see a map listing where all of the horses were for sale, so I'm just going to have to wander around until I find the one that I'm looking for. Another draw to this sale is most of these horses have exceptional temperaments. Anyone who has ever bought a horse from an auction knows that the truthfulness of the seller can vary dramatically. One of the things that you're essentially paying for when you buy a horse at this sale is the reputation of the seller. This horse was really cool looking, but he was pretty preoccupied with all of his food that he was munching on. He had this really pretty frosted mane.
Easy, buddy. Hey, dude. Hey, dude.
I did come pretty early for the sale. I think they are going to do some roping with these horses in about a half an hour. I caught a palomino out the corner of my eye, and hopefully it's that one I'm supposed to be looking at. This one was not the right horse, but it was kind of cool. This guy is a son of Metallic Cat, and it's pretty rare that he's a palomino. I don't know the actual percentage, but just due to color coat genetics, it is very difficult to get a palomino son of this horse. So I'm guessing that he's going to sell a little bit on the high side. Most of the horses at this sale are going to be under 10 years of age. There are a ton of horses in this sale that are the same age as Prim and Stewie, who I haven't even started under saddle yet. I really liked the looks of this horse. He was very balanced. He had really nice, clean legs. Even though they do require a bunch of x-rays for the horses to be entered in this sale, you can't really tell about soft tissue injuries until you get your eyeballs on them. Here is that little palomino Metallic Cat gelding, I think. Kind of cool that he's just cruising around bridleless, so definitely the price tag on this one is going to be up there close to the $100,000 mark. I really liked the looks of this gray horse. He was bred really cool. He was by a son of Wimpy's Little Step and out of a Smart Spook mare. That is a fabulous combination for an amateur or non-pro rider that wants a nice, calm, forgiving horse. This horse was also brought by some sellers that are really well known. They're known for putting out nice, quiet, gentle horses that have seen a lot of the world. I would imagine the price tag on this one is going to be over $50,000. They also brought this really pretty buckskin gelding. He is the same age as Prim. My friend did want me to look at this horse as well, but I flat out told him that this horse was probably going to be too expensive for them, so I'm going to steer them in hopefully a different direction. Most of these horses are on the shorter side, so around 14.2 to 15 hands. This little buckskin horse they are selling with the proceeds going to Riders of the Yellowstone Foundation. This nonprofit provides horses to the children of fallen soldiers. This horse is just a 2-year-old, so the same age as Scarlet, and is not started under saddle. This nonprofit also owns the brand that a lot of you may recognize from the Yellowstone TV series. So this little guy is packing around a Cheek brand. Most of the horses that are selling today are very well broke, and it'll be interesting to see how much this guy goes for. He is a super nice looking little colt. I did notice that there were a lot of Metallic Cat bred horses at this sale. This one's by Metallic Rebel. They did a benefit auction for a slot on the Yellowstone TV show a few years ago, and the stallion Metallic Cat did end up purchasing that. I think being featured on the show did a lot to boost his popularity, especially amongst the crowd of people that are flocking to Montana now to buy property and little ranches. He is a super nice stallion. His babies have won lots and lots of money, but I just think it's interesting that I'm starting to see more of his babies pop up for sale now. In order to loosen the old purse strings, this sale does have a bar that is on the property for the sale. The barn that they actually have the sale in is beautiful. I'm trying to decide where I'm going to sit for the sale. I think I might stand. I did notice that there are quite a few more people at the sale this year than last year, and since I'm really not going to be bidding on anything, I don't feel like I should be taking up a seat. I'm still on the hunt for the horse I'm supposed to be looking at, so I'm going to wander on down to the arena and see if he's maybe down there. It looks like there's quite a few buyers here in person, but there will be a lot of phone bidding and bidding on the internet. They do a live stream as well. I'm trying really hard not to get distracted by the horses as they walk past, because I do need to take a look at this Palomino horse before the sale starts. Since a lot of these horses are marketed as nice family horses, it really helps when they can show off how calm and docile they are. This horse was pushing around a big rubber ball and carrying a tarp and some really scary milk jugs. I think maybe 2 of my horses would let me do this with them. Even Frisco Bill, who is extremely broke, would have a complete come apart if I made him wear a tarp like a cape. These guys were not messing around, because after they did the tarp and jugs, they went and had the horse sit down on a little beanbag chair. This little horse is by Inferno 66, who is a pretty popular reining stud right now. Interestingly enough, there are 3 horses that are selling today with this same sire, so I'll be curious to see how different the prices are. Again, I would probably guess that this horse is going to sell around $50,000. I spied another Palomino, which ended up not being the right horse, and then got distracted by this super cute little brown pony. This horse is a son of Highbrow Cat. He was super interested in what I was doing. These horses were positioned right next to a little coffee truck that they had, and there were 2 generators that were really, really loud, and these boys were just chilling, taking a little snooze. This is one of the reasons why I think it's really important to haul young horses out and make sure they know how to stand tied. It comes in pretty handy when you're in an environment like this. These horses are probably just waiting for their turn in the arena. I also think all of these horses were brought here by different sellers, so these horses do not know each other, and they're still able to keep a pretty cool head. This buckskin was really nice. He was probably the tallest horse that I've seen so far today. He's bred a little bit more old school than the other horses, and you can tell just by his look. He's a lot bigger than the other horses. He has a little bit more bone than some of them. I don't really have a lot of time before the sale actually starts, and after a frantic call from my friend, I set out again to try and find that little Palomino. I kept seeing this gorgeous gray horse walk past, and I needed to check him out a little bit more because he looked like something that they would really be into. Some people really do not like gray horses, but this is a dapple gray, and I just think they're really, really pretty. I believe this little Palomino is selling first in the sale today. Every year they seem to kick off the sale with 1 horse and donate 50% of the proceeds to the Montana High School Rodeo Association, so that's pretty cool. I didn't realize it, but I missed a huge chunk of horses that are in a bigger main barn, so I'm heading back up that way, and hopefully I'll be able to find that Palomino. I have been coming to this sale for a few years now, and I don't know why I've never been back in this barn. I immediately spied one of the horses that I am thinking is going to be the high seller. The pictures in the catalog do not do this horse justice. He is also by that Inferno 66 stallion. He has won some money, and he is 6 years old, so he's going to fit the bill for a lot of people. I'm pretty sure he's going to sell for over $100,000. These stalls were gigantic. I had to measure because I really wanted to know exactly how big they are. It looks like they're about 30 by 30. A lot of these horses are so fancy that they probably don't get turned out altogether just because the risk of injury is too great. I love the design of these stalls. They have a huge hay feeder that looks like it can fit a whole entire big square bale. I spied another Palomino, which ended up not being the right horse either, but this one had the most fabulous mane. Since it's getting so close to sale time, it looks like a lot of these guys are just drying off from a recent bath. There are 10 Palominos in the sale today, and I think I've seen every one except the one that I'm actually supposed to be checking out. At this point, I've seen every single horse for sale except the one that I'm trying to find. I think this is the cute little brown one that I saw being ridden at the very beginning of the video. They did have one gypsy cross in the sale today. I think these are losing popularity in Montana. At this point, I'm pretty excited that I'm not actually getting paid to look at this horse because I cannot for the life of me find out where he is. I have one more row of stalls to check, and I really hope that horse is back there. I'm not sure if this is new this year or they've done it in the past, but you can get radiographs the day of the sale if you want a few more views of a horse that you're looking at.
Oh, buddy.
Thankfully, I finally found the horse that I've been looking for, and he does have the same sweet, smushy face that Studman does. Just looking over him very briefly, they do have a very similar body type. This horse is obviously in better shape than Studman. Studman has gotten quite a dad bod since he hasn't been worked under saddle yet. In addition to having an exceptional temperament and a really well-known sire, this horse also has a really well-known dam, so I think that's going to contribute to a super high price tag on this guy. I did call my friend in Oklahoma to let him know that that Palomino is probably going to be way outside of his client's budget. I'm going to head back down to the arena to see if I can see a few more horses move so I can call him back and give him a few more alternatives. I know a lot of you guys that regularly watch my channel aren't horse people, so I wanted to show you this little hot walker. These are super handy to keep horses in shape. You put them in and it kind of goes around like a merry-go-round. It is something that is on my list for when I buy my own property, but they are quite expensive. It would be a really handy thing to have for a horse like Skeletor that needs gentle exercise and cannot run around with a bunch of horses. With my main task for the day complete, I'm going to head back to my truck and get some electrolytes. These are basically the same thing that you give to horses when it's hot out, but they're for people. I am sweating bullets today and I'm feeling a little dizzy, so I pop a few of those and get a few drinks of water and then head back down to the arena to check out some of these horses roping. After seeing this gray horse move around, I think he's my personal favorite from the sale. It's really nice to see that even though these horses are really well bred and very docile, they do have some skills that might be used on a real ranch. I do think the majority of these buyers are not going to go and haul to team ropings, but I'm sure some of them probably will. I was really impressed with how they were handling the cattle today. It was really hot, and any of the cattle that looked like they were too tired to be roped, they just sent to the end of the arena. I know roping isn't everybody's jam, but there are still a lot of places, especially in Montana, that you cannot access without a horse. So if you're out and about checking on your herd and you need to doctor something, it is important that your horse has the skills to be able to safely do that. After watching a few more horses, I made a few phone calls. I wanted to let my friend know which horses I really thought they should take a second look at. It does look like there are a lot of buyers here today, so I want to make sure I can at least get a good spot standing to watch the sale. A higher end sale like this, you can definitely feel the excitement in the room as they get ready to sell the horses. They made a few announcements about how they were going to be running the sale, and then they started in with the very first horse, which was that little Palomino colt.
We got 61 absolutely phenomenal horses here today. At the proceeds now, y'all pay attention.
For the first horse in the sale, I thought the bidding was pretty strong on this one. He ended up selling for $6,500.
The team opening again today in the preview. He's got a great...
This sale is a little bit different than the ones I normally attend. Typically, they're trying to get them in and out as quickly as possible because they have so many horses to sell. This second horse sold for $27,000 and was given a pretty long time in the ring. This next little gray horse was that super cute Wimpy's Little Step Smart Spook bred one. I was pretty close on the price with this one. He ended up selling for $55,000.
Unfortunately, is oftentimes unrecognizable
This really nice metallic rebel gelding was being sold by Heroes and Horses, which is a 501c nonprofit that has a really cool program for veterans. Their application for participants is still open, so if any of you guys are veterans, I would definitely check out their website and see if their program could benefit you. When the gavel fell, this gelding ended up selling for $30,000.
Thank you. And a big thank
I've seen the prices for these horses go up over the last couple of years. You used to be able to get a really nice one for around $20,000, $30,000 at this sale. Unfortunately, for those of us who are looking for a really nice horse at a bargain, this sale has gotten pretty expensive. This little Palomino spent quite a bit of time in the ring showing off all of his skills and trainability.
bro, give me the go whatever you want to do.
When it was all said and done, this horse ended up selling for $50,000.
That's what I'm talking about. Go on the ground, little short cannonball. Watch your 50, 40, 30, 20. I got 10,000. Here we go, play.
I was really surprised that this one didn't bring more bidders in. This was a really nice bay 5-year-old by Once in a Blue Boon, and he ended up selling for $25,000, but the owners decided to keep him.
Next one to come to the door, going to be lot number 8. This is Spooks Not Clyde.
Pretty much all of these horses are going to be able to ride bridleless, especially in the sale arena. Honestly, any horse that actually knows how to neck rein, you should be able to take the bridle off and spin him around. But it is pretty impressive with all of these people and the excitement happening. At 9 years old, this was one of the older horses in the sale, and he ended up going for $75,000. It was still pretty early in the sale. This is only the 8th horse that they're selling, but the prices are starting to climb up pretty steadily. I always figure when they have a tiny child like this on a horse that it's probably going to be above a normal person's budget. This little cowgirl definitely wasn't just dinking around up there. She actually knew how to ride, and the horse was doing some pretty cool maneuvers. With horses being so expensive, it is really handy to have one horse that the whole entire family can get along with. This horse ended up selling for $62,000.
Pro or semi-pro, and you want something to take you to the pay window, he can take you there as well. This one has a huge range of motion.
This is that Palomino son of Metallic Cat. This is also that horse that we saw casually riding around the parking lot with no bridle on. This horse sold a little bit lower than I thought he might. He ended up selling for $87,000. We are halfway to the horse that I'm waiting to see how much he goes for, and the prices are not getting any cheaper. After pulling off this horse's saddle and bridle, he ended up selling for $50,000. This super cute little cowboy was the one that was down there showing in the preview, putting all of the grown-ups to shame. There looked like there were quite a few phone bidders up for this horse, and he ended up selling for $72,000. This super cute gelding ended up selling for $72,000 as well. Last year, it kind of seemed like a lot of the buyers had a budget of around $50,000, and this year the prices were really staying around that $75,000 mark. So a lot of people definitely brought more money this year. This guy was a steal at $35,000.
Right quick. 67, 65,
It was kind of interesting to see two sons of highbrow cat at this sale. He did die in 2019. I do know that they still offer ICSI breeding, which is just taking one single sperm and placing it into an egg. Very expensive, so $30,000 for that horse was probably about what it cost to make a horse like that. This is that little colt that was for sale, benefiting the riders of the Yellowstone Foundation. He is a really good sized horse and a pretty desirable color. He ended up selling for $8,000, which was a little bit higher than I thought he was going to go for. This is that really nice Inferno 66 that I think is going to be the high seller of the sale. Another horse by the same sire did sell for only $35,000, so I might be a little bit off on this one. After seeing the horse move around the pen, it was pretty obvious that this horse was one that a lot of people were interested in. Things really started to heat up when the bidding reached $100,000. That horse was super nice, but $255,000 is a mighty high price tag. This buckskin horse really got everybody excited too, and he ended up selling for $187,000. The next horse up was the highbrow cat that I really liked, who was standing at the tie rail. This horse and that dapple gray were my personal two favorite horses of the sale. That other highbrow cat sold for $30,000, so let's see what this guy goes for. After showing off a few of his cutting horse moves, this guy ended up selling for $44,000, which I think was a really good deal. After watching a few more horses sell, it was finally time to see how much this gorgeous Palomino was going to go for. This guy had a ton of presence while still keeping his super sweet, kind eye. Just like I thought, this guy hit $100,000 pretty handily. There were a ton of people trying to get their hands on this horses, and he quickly got all the way up to $200,000.
265, 70, give it a big drink. 270, big drink. 270, give everybody a drink. Now 5, now 280, give everybody a drink. 280, 280, 90, now 300, 310, 3, no, I got 310. And I'm
The bidding did slow down a little bit, but in the end, this guy ended up selling for a whopping $300,000. I didn't really have a reason to stick around for this sale any longer, but I did want to see how much this guy sold for. I definitely can't blame the owner. I would not have sold that horse for $30,000 either. I stepped outside to check out a few of the vendors. They had one that did some really beautiful rawhide work. These gorgeous reins were almost $700. I seriously considered purchasing a pair of these, but in the end I decided I really just don't need them. Maybe once Studman is going under saddle and I take him to a few cow horse shows, I'll invest in a pair of nice Romels for him.
Very impressive horse. Sold him right there, Eddie Ray, 55,000. Thank you, boys, 55,000. Thank you.
This sale did have a really good food truck that I ordered lunch from while I waited for this horse to sell.
Thank you.
The only thing I didn't love about this horse sale was that they did have really bad reception, so I was having trouble making some calls. I think this guy was probably the steal of the sale. He sold for only $20,000.
Sushi by Shining Sparks goes back to new cash on the top side. This one right here again, take a look at him. He's got 27,000.
Pretty interesting to see this little Palomino sell. To the untrained eye, he looks almost exactly like the one that sold for $300,000. But there was a big difference between these two horses, and in the end, he ended up selling for $55,000.
Yes or no? Goose that mouse for 60. Sold him back 55,000. Thank you, boy.
I would have liked to stay for the whole sale, but they do take quite a long time with each horse in the ring, and it is kind of taxing for someone who's used to them whipping through in 30 seconds or less. I've been really busy lately, and I'm kind of anxious to get home and just hang out with my own horses. When I make it back to the barn, Tiny is pretty excited to see me. I have minimal chores to do this evening. I just have to switch everybody around.
Come on, boys. Come on, Ziggy.
It was pretty neat to see the similarities between Studman and that Palomino that was for sale today.
Zig, come on. This way, buddy. Come on, Zig. Here, buddy. Here. Here you go.
It's kind of cool to think that Studman could be related to that horse that just sold for $300,000 when I only paid $300 for him. I might pull some hair and do some genetic testing just to find out for sure if that is definitely his sire. Even if it was a match, I probably wouldn't be able to register him, but it would be kind of cool to know for sure. While I saw millions of dollars worth of horses today, I still am pretty grateful that I have my own little herd. While I do appreciate a really nicely trained, well-bred horse, these guys really keep me on my toes, and I don't think I'd have it any other way. It looks like Scarlet is now high-free. I hope you guys enjoyed this glimpse into a really high-end horse sale with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.